Go right ahead. All set.
Okay. So hi, everyone. Happy December. A crazy December that it is. And so why don't we kick off? First order of business is minutes from the last call. I want to have a chance to read them. Thanks, Paul, for creating them.
I deleted Tucker from the attendance,
Okay.
which a couple of people had pointed out.
Yeah.
That's the only change anybody has suggested.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Anna Marie.
All right, and it's Jeff. I'll second it.
Okay.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion approved, or minutes are approved, I should say. Next thing, actually, let me hold off on the next topic, which is the calendar. Just if the two mics join, just to make sure we get their buy-in if the dates change. Basically, oh, and there's Mike Abbott. Hey, Mike. Can you hear us? No, we can't hear you.
He's muted. He was.
Mute, unmute.
Unmute. No,
There you are. Hey,
There
we
you
can
go.
hear you now.
there we go. Can you hear me now? Perfect. Sorry about that.
How are you?
Good. How are you guys? Sorry about that. Back-to-back phone calls.
Yeah. Yeah. So like Mike Bob's in the same thing. He's running late from a call, so it's crazy.
Yeah,
So thanks
great.
for joining. We went through the minutes and approved that.
Okay.
The next thing is just the meeting schedule I sent you all for next year. It's pretty straightforward. What I did is just the same as this year. It's the second Wednesday of every month. I also looked for the February and April a public school calendar. It doesn't conflict with those. So if that's of any interest, maybe it conflicts with other type things. But anyway, just wanted to just say anything, is anyone, any changes to just continuing on with this, cadence of every month on the second Wednesday?
Look quite
No,
benign.
I think it's okay. Looks good.
Okay. Sorry, Paul, what were you saying?
It's benign. I didn't see any conflicts anywhere.
Yeah. Mike, how does it work for you?
I'm good.
And Kevin, Chris, Bob, how about you guys? Anything?
Great.
Don't ask.
Good to
Kevin
go.
lives there. Kevin lives there. so-
It's as good as any other time. That's
This is
probably what
good.
you're saying.
If I could predict my calendar a year out,
All right, so we're good from a calendar standpoint. So first order of business, I think, is just outcall, and really sounds like we're moving along, but just wanted to, from our standpoint, to see how things are going. Is there anything else we can help support as it rolls out, and particularly of two fronts. One is, can we help in any way of getting other departments to use it if that's relevant? And then two is, how do we get more residents to log in, register, so forth, to set up the right email address and phone number, all that kind of stuff. So Chris, do you want to start out from your perspective?
Sure. We are moving along pretty well. Kevin's outcalls in the front office are being well received. We do have more and more people on a daily basis, either re-signing up, signing back up using the new credential system, and which gives us an idea of they've been in there as a duplicate. We can remove the old one, which was imported from the old system. So it's going very well, fairly well, and we continue to try to market more and more. I know that Tucker and Kevin and I think Bob were involved with getting something together, and I'm not sure if one of them wants to speak of that. I'm not up to speed with it yet, but what's going to go out and what will inform the public and how to start to market this a little more. But yeah, it's we're getting emails every day now about new signups. How do I sign up? Where do I go? So people are becoming more and more interested, which is helping us clean up the data at the same time.
Yeah, I would comment that, it sort of ties into what Bob is doing with the master list, because we have a lot of dupes in the Everbridge registration. And perhaps if we accomplish what we're trying to accomplish with the master list, we can simply go back in and replace what we have in there with the master list and kind of not try to eliminate all the dupes. It still doesn't solve the problem that people need to have registered in order to be able to express their preferences. But I'm trying to get to as complete as possible everybody in there, because we have their contact information. But again, normally these systems are built from the bottom up. We did it from top down, so we're communicating with them, but they don't get the opportunity unless they go to re-register to choose. I only want to get emails. I only want to get voice messages, because Everbridge has a lot of capability to give you your preferences, but you have to be able to have one account that you've registered for, as opposed to been pre-registered for. That makes sense. So, and we are working on a communication, but we're not there yet.
And what's the communication?
The communication would sort of be how to use Everbridge to encourage people to go in and if they want to express their preferences, to go in. But the frustration of that is that the information is in there partially, used sometimes with dupes. One account has an email address, one account has a phone number, and we can't combine them unless Everbridge had some kind of magical way to go in and match the two up. You think they would? They're a database company.
Well, we can combine them, Kevin. It's just the fact that it's still going to not give them login credentials. So it would leave them still leave them out in the cold where they couldn't make any change. Yeah,
that's the key. In order for them to be able to control their account, they have to have established login credentials.
Now, what happens? I noticed on the last voice message from you, Kevin, it says if you listen at the very end, it says press 2 or whatever if you want to no longer receive communications.
Well, that's simply an opt-out entirely, like any unsubscribe. Have we seen much of that, Chris? Have we seen people unsubscribing?
Lately, no. That also comes in the text as well and the email, Jeff. By the way, if you look at the correspondence at the end, it says if you want to unsubscribe.
And so you just haven't, through all of the channels, you haven't seen many people say, no, I don't want to get these anymore.
No, it's actually slowed down quite a bit for people that opted out.
We have people that move away and they say stop sending me the messages, because since they can't. Well, that's I'm kind of surprised an emergency outcall even gives you the option. Once you're in there, but anyway, it does. So
right. Is there a way to? I can't imagine we want to, but is there a way to not allow that? Is it an emergency outcall?
Chris, can you ask the question of them? Can you suppress that option?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it's something we've never discussed. It's always been unsubscribed or not, or we'll go. Yeah, I have no problem with that. Make a note now.
Yeah, I don't know if you necessarily want to do that, because if people really don't, maybe it's their work phone number you have, and they don't want to get calls at work, whatever it might be. So I think it probably makes sense to allow them to opt out if they want. Kevin, you had said a communication are you thinking to all the people in Everbridge to send out a communication to them explaining how they can go in and register?
Yeah.
Or where would this communication go? How would it go out?
Yeah, well, the problem is we have, how many email addresses would you say are in the 17,000? Probably 11,000?
Yeah, give or take. Yeah, 11, 12,000.
And then the balance we have phone numbers for. So, and a lot of the 11,000 and the balance 6,000 are duplicates. Keep in mind, we only have about 7,000 households. So among those 17,000 registrations or accounts we have, some have only email addresses, some have only phone numbers, but they're dupe each other. They're dupes of each other, because we took what Blackboard had, which was predominantly phone numbers and only 3,000 email addresses, and we added to it our 8,000, 9,000 constant contacts, which in some cases were email addresses with no name even, because constant contact will run off Although, did you eliminate those, Chris, in adding if they didn't have a name? Remember
we cleaned up several hundred that way. Yes, right.
Yeah.
Unknown first name, unknown last name.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, so it's the good news is, my guess is we got like 94% of our households. Bob is someday going to give me the answer as to what they.
My crystal ball.
I'm looking for what the deficit is. How many households do we not have anything for? And as Bob will explain later, we now have a methodology of exactly what we're trying to achieve.
Got it.
It's frustrating that that it takes so long to try to solve this problem, but we're heading toward a master household list.
Yeah, I'll tell you what we see as an example of what we knew we were going to run into. We now see multiple changes in email addresses, multiple account change names, phone numbers. People they don't have the home phone.
Yeah, because people are mobile.
In your number
They're dropping their internet service. They're changing their phone number. They're changing the
right. All of that. We've
Yeah.
seen every example of why, when, and how. So keeping this master is going to be some.
Yeah, that's why it's critical actually that we get to the point where we tell people how to create an account that they can manage, and but preserving the ability, if they don't want to do that, just to continue to communicate with them with what we have, either a phone number or an email address.
Chris, do you ever go back to people who make changes and point out stuff they could provide us with?
Absolutely. With the last the last couple, we've gotten quite a few emails regarding the COVID testing. And there were some people that were some confusion as to COVID and then messaging and whatnot, but that brought up a lot of questions from the townspeople and the residents. And, I forgot my password. And this is the beauty. If they have an account, we can control it. If they don't, then we ask them, you're already in there, but you're receiving it prior because of the prior messaging system or whatnot. Here's the link. Here's the how-to. And I've got to say, probably within the last week and a half, maybe 55, 60 new users are getting a hold of this and they're running with it. So we're getting more and more activity. Before it was just I went out or I just update my information. Now it's if you're in there and you're not an accountant, we see that, we send them an email saying, please create your account, let us know when it's in and done, and then we go delete the old account.
Oh, that's good.
Let me mention too that Bob's going to explain in more detail. I'm going to have to jump at 7:30 for the Parks and Rec Commission meeting, but we have two new sources which we didn't realize. One is the fact that when people applied for a absentee ballot, 6,000 people applied. Was it 6,000, Bob?
Yes, 6,000.
They had to provide an email address. So we have access to that whole new database of and then secondly, the voter registration list, which was just updated after the election, has 14,700 people that claim they live in New Canaan and are over 18. And that's up from 14,300 4 years ago. There's always a churn with the young people that kind of move out or they become 18 the year of the president. The presidential year is the biggest list we have of registered voters because they want to vote for president. And but what we know we have now, I know anecdotally of several couples, the young people from New York City moved back home with the parents, that either permanently or temporarily, and they wanted to vote here. So we now have, when we look at a household, we're going to discover that we have 4 people that are 3 or 4 people that are over 21, because they're here temporarily or permanently because of New York City.
And from the voter list, do we have just name and address, or do we have phone number or email?
We have name, address, phone number in most cases, although you're not required to give your phone number. And that's a public record. Most people don't realize you can ask for the voter registration list.
And on the absentee ballot list, the good news is the application required a email address and phone number. However, the Secretary of State's system wasn't updated, so it wasn't input anywhere. So we're going to get a
It's a
couple of
hard
people
copy.
and do it
It's a hard
in.
copy in the clerk's office, but they don't have a place for it in the Secretary of State's
Yeah,
system for an email address. So they ask for it on paper, but they can't, it's not loaded into
Yeah.
the state system.
That's funny. Yet they asked for it.
yeah.
Well-
They asked for the electronic email address, but they don't have the place for it to use it. That's government. Excuse me,
Yeah.
Kevin.
Okay.
That's
State
Connecticut.
government, state government.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is a government body.
But we're making progress.
Yeah.
I feel good we're making progress.
No, that's good. I think to your point, Kevin, earlier, yeah, once you, and I'm sure it's after the holidays, you're thinking about it, but is doing some of that, I'll call it like the communications out may help, with some of that cleanup. Between that, people doing it themselves. I'm a perfect example. I get your phone call or I get a text, email, and phone. Now I just need to go in and try to clean up my record. I haven't done it, my own fault, but yeah, I think that will help.
Well, but some people may want that. I get them, and I don't mind getting all three,
Yeah.
email,
But-
text, and I get it on my home phone, I get it on my cell phone.
Yeah.
And the irony is my wife said, I don't get it. Well, you didn't sign up for it.
Because she says she hears you all the time. She doesn't need to.
But I assume Paul and Mike and Anna Marie, you're getting it
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
in more than one way, email.
I get all the way,
Yeah.
all the ways that I can get it, I get it. And sometimes twice. I think my
Yeah.
email is.
You get, emails, voicemails, get everything. Although I took down my
It's a
voicemail,
little
so I'm not getting the
glitch, though.
voicemail anymore.
Sometimes, it sort of rings and then it rings again. There's one, and then until it actually comes through. So I think that's Everbridge glitch. It's not, something that it sort of tries to call too many numbers at the same time or something. I don't know.
By the way, we have the option, which we haven't used, of simply having the automated voice read the email that we submit, and it's very good. It only gets screwed up when you have like a symbol or something that doesn't, but it's actually a very good female voice that I'm amazed how good it is, Chris, right?
Yeah, it works very well. I also want to add, I opted in for the app. I like the app.
Yeah, you should mention the app. Have we
Yeah,
talked about that before?
I'm not sure. I signed up for it. I signed up with the CT Alert.
Yeah.
And with the CT Alert, it also, because I use the 860, or the area code of New Canaan, it allows me to get all of Kevin's as well. So anything that comes from the state or from New Canaan, it shows up, and it reads real well. And in the voice message, you can actually just swipe to the left, and then there's the voice message, and you can store it so you can read it later. It stores it.
So that's the Everbridge app. And
Yeah.
the state of Connecticut uses Everbridge as well. So
Where's the app come from, Chris?
Everbridge.
Everbridge.
So if you want to download the app, you get the messages on the app as opposed to.
Yeah, I think that's another sort. I get them on the app too. So I've got it through every means possible.
Well, I can't say I have the app yet, but I will upload it now or download it.
But
We
as
use-
I said before, you don't want to waste a good crisis to finally get this project,
Right.
loaded up with everything we've been looking for. When we developed the website last year, I said my vision is to get an email contact information for every household, at least one member of the household. And this, we're getting there. But it's
You're still saying it.
Huh?
You're still saying it.
Yeah.
That's right.
We have many households.
Well, but we do a lot of permutations. That, as Bob will explain later. I mean, we have snowbirds that live here in the winter, live here in the summer, but they vote in Florida. So
Right.
you got to keep track of all these variations on what people have. You have people that don't vote, so they're not in the voter registration list because they have green cards and they're here on temporarily from foreign countries. So we have a lot of permutations as to what the 21,000 people are.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see the map, and Kevin's seen it before. If you, being inside Everbridge, the system itself, you pull up the map for geotagging, it'll show you people in California. It's the phone numbers or email addresses that are registered and where they are across the country. And in the beginning, we weren't sure what it was. Why is this over here in, say, Georgia? It's someone that wants their parents sign up, or they're, like Kevin said, the snowbirds. They live in Palm Coast, and that's where they are right now until they move the other way, or that's the phone number that they've registered with. Pretty interesting. Keeps track of everybody.
Right. Chris, one of the other things I know you and I talked about was CT alerts, which Kevin, you mentioned, which was the statewide alert system. And, don't know I think there's a few towns around us that connect to that. Is that right?
Yep.
And promote that.
Yeah. CT alert, actually, from what I understand, is it's good to have. I joined it only because it's part of the app. So now I get the state of Connecticut's alerts as well as New Canaan's. But as Kevin emailed me the other day, and I got the email afterward as well, the Everbridge Connecticut alert system came back and kind of slapped the hand of the people that didn't want to buy into their own systems because they were using it for Corona-19 messaging, and said, you're clogging up the system with your local municipal alerts. And this is for state alerts for, say, county by county wide, if there's a mass issue. So they pulled the plug on that. So I'm not sure I think it was Kevin Fairfield or who went full on just CT alert and backed. I think it was Fairfield.
I think it was Fairfield, yeah.
Yeah. So they kind of lost their rights to go ahead and just send it anytime. But when this gets said and done, we'd like to get the dispatchers at PD and fire trained and EMS as well. I guess that's where they start for severe issues, not just notifications, but any kind of emergency services or things like that. They really want to have a couple of people trained in each town to use the CT alert system. But again, I think I said this earlier, by the time we hopefully get to them and start to use and be trained on CT alert, because it's a different system, you got to log in a different way. They're going to have that database one single sign-on, so that when you register in either direction, you're registered for New Canaan and or you're registered for CT alert. Right now it's a manual. So if we wanted to take our system, we'd have to back our data file out and send it up to them, and they would import it into the CT alert or vice versa.
Yeah, I would think it'd be more if we go down that path, is it'd be opt-in, because I think people, actually maybe I'll sign up for it just to see what alerts have been coming out. Because if seems like things that are less relevant, this may not be a time that people want to be getting more alerts. So
you get the same alert that Kevin gives. It's just on a statewide basis. I'm looking at them now, and it's as soon as Kevin does his, then you'll get the governor's alert, the governor's message, the governor's message.
Yeah.
And it's all the same information, just on a statewide, right?
So maybe it's a topic to revisit, after we get through the pandemic. So when we're back to sort of normal, emergency alerts. So.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely worth looking at it. At least from my point of view, I think it's something that it's just another tool in the arsenal. And if they do finally get everything so that you've got one database that'll go out, whether it's a local, because we are an Everbridge customer, or if it's a countywide, by the push of a button, then our trained people will know what to do and how to do it.
Right.
Region-wide.
Right. Yes, sir.
We don't have.
I forgot we're in regions. Yes.
We don't have county, but we have emergency regions.
Yes. I'm not a responder, but I am there all the time. Yes. I have my badge.
I'm gonna have to depart, but Paul, we have a website committee meeting tomorrow.
Is it 11:30?
I think so.
Yeah.
And so the website, I think, is in good shape, and I'm not
I
sure.
just used it to sign up for the COVID test.
We ought to use it
I just used it to sign up for a COVID test.
for the Lappin testing.
Yeah. We have a red box at the bottom of
Yeah.
the
Oh,
homepage.
Sign up, Jesus.
That was the
Right,
fastest way to
as
get.
opposed, as opposed to going to using the email that you get. Yeah, we put that on there as well, and the testing is kind of interesting because People are, it's there now 6 days a week. It's not filling up quite as fast as it was first couple weeks. But we look forward to having that over the Christmas holiday so people can get tested. So.
So is there anything website related that, you know, it sounds like everything's working well. Anything else you want us to look at?
You know, I still want to go back and see if there's other things that Revise is developing that I assume, Chris, they would tell us about new features and stuff to offer that they.
Yeah, the sales rep and our project manager come back with new things. Haven't heard anything lately, but yes. Yep.
But our other goal is to make sure we get as many things that can be done electronically to get them on the website.
Is there any continuing discussion with the police department, or is it CERT that runs their own, or is it EMS that runs their own website?
Police department. That's
What police department does, I thought that was at least that we would wish that it could get folded into the town website.
yeah. They have their own IT person that sort of maintains that, and so you can jump over there from the police page on our website. That's the last stand. I think the volunteer firemen also have their own website, but I'm not sure what to say about that other than that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Paul, anything
But,
else?
you know, I'm gonna depart, and I'll leave with Bob to update you on the master household database. And I wish you all happy holiday, Merry Christmas, and thank
Same
you
to
all
you.
for
Thank you. Happy
Yeah, thanks,
holiday.
Kevin. Yeah,
Okay,
Merry
thank
Christmas
you.
to you. All right.
That'd be all this.
Paul, anything else from a website standpoint? Anything else, you know, you want to discuss, or just the update that we just talked about is?
No, I
Covers
float
it.
around on the website looking for, links that don't work and stuff that should be a little smoother. Some of the departments need to do some updating. It's not too hard to identify them. But generally speaking, that's something that can and should be done site-wide.
Right.
How long we were running? A year and a half now?
Yep.
Yeah. It's time to make sure that that stuff's up to date. And some of them become a little bit disjointed because there've been some amendments or changes and they just don't look right, flow right.
Right.
But stuff like, LAPM is now fully integrated, which is really, I think, working very well. I can't think of anything else, Jeff. I mean, that really jumps out.
Okay. No, I think that makes sense. I mean, it's good. It's being used. To your point, people are able to get to critical services like the COVID testing. So
Yeah.
It sounds like things are good. And Bob, people are going through the website. Or no, they were getting emails regarding the transfer station, right? So, but I guess they could go to the website for that too. So for
They go to the, yeah.
Okay. All right, sounds good on the website. Next up was, yeah, Bob, if you could update two fronts, one on your side, with the project, and then Mike, Bob, we can give if he doesn't jump on, I can give an update from his side. So.
All right, just to start off with reminding all of us what our objective is. And that's, we're looking to develop an efficient contact information for at least one person, one adult resident per household in New Canaan. We're trying to get that up and going. The secondary objective is that we want to be able to efficiently sift through town data on an ongoing basis so we can keep this list updated, because otherwise it'll just be stale and we'll be doing it every couple of years. And what we're looking for is a name, address, email, phone number, and license plate number for the household. That's what we're working toward. Our situation is we have approximately 7,200 addresses in this town, residential units in this town. I'm awaiting the full breakout of this from the assessor. He told me I should have it by the end of the week. He's working with a new software program on the assessor's department. So where he was able to maneuver through his old software package and give me this kind of information in a matter of hours, it's taking him a bit to get it to us. So we will have that shortly. But just in a nutshell, we have, and which I'm much more familiar with the sewer district from working on the sewer tax conversion. But we have single family residences, we have condos, we have co-ops, we have a number of 2 to 4 family homes, and we have 4 multi-family apartment projects in town, soon to be 5 when Arnold Karp's project comes online. The biggest one we have is the Avalon project, which has about 106 or 107 units. So we'll be adding a lot more with Arnold Karp's project. What we've also know, and we validated just through our voter registration files and what we're reading in the paper about real estate sales, but our household movement velocity is active in this town. People are moving in and out of apartments. They're upgrading. They're moving from apartment or condo to a bigger one or a bigger house. And we have people downsizing. And we also have people moving in and out, changing primary residences. So we're trying to work toward figuring out how to capture this information on an efficient basis on an ongoing basis. And then households change with aging. We worked last year on that nice project of 65 and over, and we've had a new group move into that, graduate to that category this year. So we want to help them be tracked for the right departments, health and human services in particular. Kevin just asked, when I'm redoing it, let's go down to 55. It doesn't really make a difference. It's hardly any work going from 50 to 55, 55, 60, 65 and up. There's 7 primary databases that we use in this town that are available for our work. Most of it is public information. There are some databases that are used for specific departments, and we can't even ask questions about it because of ordinances and laws. Perfect example is we can't call up the police department and try to track down so-and-so's license plate number or some scofflaw. So we're capturing this information through public information now. So we just yesterday got the voter registration rolls that have been updated, nice and cleaned up. And there's 17,932 on that list now. Everbridge, as of this morning, Chris had 17,109 on that. And we're going to work on cleaning that up and get rid of the duplications and triplications on that. I mean, Kevin and I went on the website one night, and he and I are both in there 4 times, twice for our wives and twice for us and all of us. The 65 plus, we have about 3,000 people on this list, and that moves up and down and is dynamic. The transfer permits, we're working well on that. We've sold 2,022 permits as of the 6th of December, and almost 2,000 of them are on the automated pipeline where we've captured mailing address and a phone number. And even that's interesting. No sooner does somebody get their sticker and put it on the back of their rear view mirror, and they call up and say, I bought a new car. I traded my car in, now what do I do? For the first time, a lady came in here with the sticker on her finger because she peeled it off the rear view mirror. So that's a constant in the town. Constant Contact, we have almost 11,000 names on there, 10,888. And that has very limited data because you can only, you can get on there with just putting your email address. So we're going to give some thought to going forward, how we can
What
populate
is that
a
one
little more.
used for now, Bob?
Well, it's used for department communications mostly. Lapham Center, the rec department, all these have newsletters and it's all sent out through Constant Contact.
Ah.
So there's a lot of that. And then we also can work with the public school system. They've got 4,700 names on an email list that they use to communicate to parents and guardians, and that they all have an email address and phone number. So those are the databases we're working with. This 8th database with the town clerk, we just found out about this yesterday, and we pulled off the application, and we're going to get a couple of people in here. We know of a couple of young people who are home from college. They just want to do something, and we can get them in there and try to put these in an Excel file.
What's in that file?
It's the
Wait, what's
information
it-
for the absentee ballots. But the town clerk's department populated it with the information for the absentee ballots, but into the state website, but the state didn't open a field for capturing the email address.
But did the clerk's office keep that information?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Good.
So she has all of that.
How many names were in that database?
There were
You said
just over 6,000
Yeah, there were
applications
6,400 ballots.
for the ballots, and 5,000 actually sent in their ballot through absentee.
So I'm assuming the 6,000 is people who requested the ballot application, or the ballot doesn't mean they sent it in.
Yeah,
It
doesn't,
means they voted, but it means
Yeah.
they received the ballot. Okay.
yeah, they
could
probably
walk in it.
voted. They probably voted, but they decided at the last minute they wanted to.
Yeah,
come to
or
the
if you
poll.
walked in to the town clerk's office and said, I want an absentee ballot, that wouldn't show up in there unless somebody
Right.
went to the trouble of entering all that stuff.
Yeah, there's a form, and I did a lot of work. I ended up as a head moderator for the election this year, and I actually said we had to not give a ballot to people with really bad penmanship, and we ought to give 2 ballots to some of the people who take the time to really do it neat.
Yeah, that's like, it should be a voting requirement. You need to be able to spell and like
Yeah,
express it correctly, right?
yeah. I got involved this month on these COVID tests, putting the database together, working on that. And people were calling up after the first test complaining that they were supposed to get notified and they didn't get notified. Well, we found out because they typed in their own email address incorrectly. There was,
Yeah.
so what I did for the second week is I found an excuse to send a quick email to everybody. And then the ones that bounced back, we were able to call on the phone to get it corrected.
Mm.
Just
And it
you gotta use a confirm email
Yeah.
field. That's all there is to it.
But I get told on Tuesday, we got to do this Wednesday.
Right.
It's just I'm pulling my hair out and getting it done. I'm enjoying the fact that we're trying to automate and do things to bring us up to the 1990s. And we're getting there. And fortunately, Kevin's a big supporter of this. And we'll get it right and efficient. I don't understand why these council of governments, where you have 22 and 23 towns working together, why they don't put a little bit of money in and develop whatever they needed.
Right.
But I digress, excuse me.
Hey, Bob, one thing you talked about was, is there sort of a source of truth, or when people move in and out, like this is the best data source? It may not have all the information, but is it the assessor's record? Like what, what probably is the most likely to be updated the most frequently?
Well, for people who own, it's the assessor's database.
Okay,
But there are a number of homes that are rented and
Yeah.
we're getting more apartments in town. Then there's the voter registration list as you get close to an election. As we all move, the first thing we don't think about is going to the registrar's office. But
Right.
you get the flurry of activity. The stuff that was coming in downstairs was amazing before the election and in the lead up to it. So I haven't found, the holy grail yet. And that's why the secondary objective is figuring out how we can sift through town data as it gets updated. From a marketing perspective, I'm thinking, we go to the welcome wagon, we go to the realtors, we get a card made up for people, suggesting Everbridge and suggesting their initial contact with the town from an electronic perspective.
Right.
And then we've got, young adults graduate from college and they move into the city, but they still really treat their parents' address as their home address. They still vote through here.
Is date of birth in any of the lists? To
Date
get
of-
it.
You're gonna
Data-
find a lot of reluctance of people signing up for that.
No, but is their date of birth in like the registrar list or something? Not that we're asking people to give it, but do we already get it in some way?
Voter registration
Yeah.
is, gotta be, you gotta have to at least attest to the fact that you're over 18. But
Right,
Yeah, you have to show your
Date of
life, the
sure,
loosest,
you go in, you show them your driver's license. I mean,
Yeah.
the loosest method of identification in this country is voting.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, I can't go to the doctor now without showing proof that I'm who I am.
right.
They
Yeah,
still-
the reason why I was asking was more around the date, like to your point earlier of, when people move into the 65 plus population, or they're 18 to 24, so maybe they're,
Mhm.
in college, or, like you could do some other logic, but it doesn't sound like we
Yeah.
we capture that
Yeah.
from any of our
Yeah.
sources.
But the registration, the voter registration is very helpful for me because it has a date of birth.
Yeah, that's what
And-
I was looking for. Yeah,
And now what I did, given my skill level, I did the automated calculation for their birth date at point in time. But had I used the formula, which I will use this time, that has the current real-time date, it will show us the real age of everybody. Anytime we push the button that we want to know what our list is.
Voter Reg does ask for your date of birth.
okay. So that's
Yeah,
where,
I'm on the
Yeah.
state of Connecticut's.
Yeah, and they give you, but they give you it's optional for a phone number, and they don't even ask for an email yet.
Okay.
So
Um,
it's,
so related to that, I know Mike Bopp, that is, he was tied up in a meeting. So he, we had talked with Mike Abbott as well, and on this committee last time, of being able to create logic, a code that can actually take these different lists and using the most common differences in it, is to be able to consolidate the list. So Mike Bopp, that is, has a member of his team who is willing to help out with this. So we got from Kevin the right ways approvals so that
Right.
we can do this officially. So I think the key thing we would want is, like, if you remember, we took a list of, I think, 5 people, right, Mike? And we looked at all of their data, or families, and we looked at all their data to see all the different, how they're, come across the different lists. But in order for Mike Bopp's team to do, or the person to do it, is we would need a list that's bigger so they could see what are all the different
right.
differences in there. So I think the next question is, pulling from all, like you did that time, Bob, is to pull, a couple hundred, I think the number, we'll get Bob to validate, but
Yeah.
to pull that so he can then use that to create it. And the idea is not for them to keep that information, it's to use it to create, and Mike help me out here, but it's to
It
create
was to create the Python code to do it. Unless we think we can just take the whole file, Jeff. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And you can just start right from the whole thing.
Like-
Because it sounds like from what you were saying, I mean, the issue we had was, are we allowed to have this information? But it sounds like it's public information.
Right. And we're using it, we're not using it for any other purpose other than just to create this code, right? And then the idea is the Python code, we would bring in house, and we'd get Chris's help of where to place it. But then it could be, we could use that to run it against all these lists. So Bob, as you get a new list in, you could run against it to clean it up and help from a consolidation standpoint.
And, Mike just raised a good point, because I talked to Kevin that we want to give him a beta test. We want to give him 100, 200 names. And I thought that if we're going to do that, should we get permission from the people? Should we at least let them know what we're doing? And I saw a lot of downside to that also, because what are you doing? And by the time I explained to 200 people on
It would
200,
take you forever.
yeah. But Mike raised a good point. If we're going to do this project, it's basically public information. We're not doing anything nefarious with it.
No.
And
We're not using
why don't we,
it. Yeah.
why
we're not-
don't
But I
we
would-
just apply it and randomly pull 200 names out if you
I'll
want to
go.
test?
I'll go back. Yeah, I'll go back to randomly, or frankly, just just take the whole full file if it's public
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
But I think we first need to confirm it's public information.
Right. And like I said, just because we're, recording this, is that we're
Yeah.
not going to use it, we're not going to mark it, we're not going to do anything to it. All it is to create the code, and then the content, gets
Aren't we-
deleted.
Aren't we talking about information that the town people have given us for
Right.
use by the town in some capacity?
That's right.
Yeah, the question
It's
is.
not like we, snuck up on people and looked over their
Right,
shoulder and copied
right.
down their email address and put it in the system. No, this is stuff that they've given us.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's not the issue. It's just when you take it outside of I'm not a lawyer, but when you take it outside of the town database, I guess the simple way to ask is, if I requested this information from the town, would it have to be given to me?
Well, the voter registration, I understand it. You can get that information.
It
And
is public.
that's why we get all these crazy phone calls and emails that we're inundated with. If the people ask me questions all the time about property, and you can go from your home on the assessor website and get every piece of, you get the value of the
when we
home.
were looking for houses, I've done that. You have to go
Yeah.
and search into it, but yeah.
Yeah, you can get a lot of that information. And people can request under freedom of information a ton of stuff.
I know.
Right.
That's why I was asking a simple question, because
And-
if any of us can request it,
Yeah.
then it's
Right.
probably a straightforward answer.
But Kevin put together, a brief statement that was acceptable to Mike, that said, you're taking our data, we own it. You're going to write this code. You're not going to keep anything on your files,
Right.
and you're going to give it back to us. And he was satisfied with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he got approval. So he got that signed. So we're all good on that front.
That's good.
Yeah.
then. Okay.
Person signed that, so we're good. And Mike can do the chain of custody if we want, Mike Bopp, that is. So if we want,
Yeah.
as far as getting it, so it doesn't float out there. So I think if we take all the right precautions, it feels like we're doing the right thing. And once again, it's just for this purpose. We're not going to send it, we're not going to do any other type of communication, or it's not going to be used for anything other than just helping. It's
Right.
actually just going to improve life for citizens, but they won't receive any more emails or anything because of this actions or any more communications.
Right.
No, it's totally fine. I think
Yeah.
Sean, the privacy concern is for people, if they're concerned that it will be sold or like
Right.
some third
Yeah.
party. It doesn't leave the parties, which is,
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
And so we do that. So the next steps we're talking are databases being updated imminent getting that information. I'll sift through it. I'll be able to sift through all the addresses on the codes, primarily the 2 to 4 families. I'll have to work on just getting the addresses. So there's a couple of hundred of those. And I'll cross out this, provide a sample size, provide the list to Mike, and he can use this.
And you're going to cross all the databases, right? All 7 or 8 that you're talking about, you'll provide.
Yeah, I'm working on this in real time.
Yep.
So I'll give him the voter registration, which I just got after I sifted a little bit. I'll get him the assessor. The transfer permits, I keep that regularly updated.
Yep.
And I built a Excel program because there's still, you can't believe the number of people who signed up for the transfer station but didn't get us the data so we could send them a permit. So if all of a sudden we give a permit number 2,501 to somebody from August 15th, the program recalculates everything in the summary. So
right.
He can have, that's updated as of December 6th.
Right.
So these other ones we can give him. And we're going to create a 9th database with the parking lot automation as we move that a little bit further forward.
What's the parking lot automation?
Well, the parking lot, they use ComPlus
Right.
on that, and they have the data on their computer. And when Stacy needs to get the information, she has to ask them. And I've got to, once I get some time, clear the deck, I've got to get to the vendor to say, how do we get this data on our computer so
Right.
we can sift through it?
And is this for permits, parking permits, or is
Parking
this for,
permits, yeah.
this isn't tickets? This
It's
is
not
for-
tickets.
Yeah. Okay.
No, we're not getting the parking ticket information.
Got it.
And then we got to take a look at the constant contact, how we can make that more efficient by putting a little more identifiable information on that.
Right.
So
Well,
we're
we may-
constantly learning every day. We're learning every day, and I'm looking forward to having this a little bit more automated, because what Kevin doesn't understand, he wants something, and I'm taking 2 spreadsheets and I'm lining them up and sorting them by addresses in 8 different ways so that we can combine some of the helpful information. And what's also interesting is we're almost on the cutting edge compared to some of these other surrounding towns. I've been helping Wilton with a couple of their projects that we're doing, like the COVID testing and how we're tracking it. And then rather than blindly pay the bill, we're reconciling the bill that we get from them. Who did you really test?
Hmm.
And did they pay?
Got it.
So that's a little bit about where we are.
Okay, well, thanks. Yeah, Bob, thanks for the update. I think if we can, sounds like you've made a lot of good progress on your end. If we could get Mike Bopp and his guy to work there, we might be able to make some even more progress. And then, kind of review it when we meet in January.
Yeah, I think once I get him a couple of the databases, that might be something for him to start feeling comfortable of what this is.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Anything
Thank
else
you.
on this topic? Right. Those were all the agenda items I had for tonight. Anything else? Any other business? Anything else? Anyone else want to bring up?
What
No.
were we talking about 9 months ago or a year ago that we said were topics to consider? Because we really haven't come up with anything new in over 6 months.
Right.
It's really all the work and all the work behind the databases that's
Right.
to now start up.
Yeah, my thought was for the first meeting in January, we use that as to revisit, topics. We can go through the list from last year, come
Yeah.
up with new topics and use, sort of what's our 2021 agenda. So yeah, that's a great point.
I'd agree with that.
I think the database, it's going to be the base for a lot of things that we do. In fact, like once we have that in order, I think we could come up with ways that whatever that could help us develop more projects. It's for marketing and for advancing, everything really, website usage, and
I was
think
gonna
it's
say,
kind of the basis of everything we do.
Mike, you're smiling because.
I'm smiling because I'm gonna say,
Marketing.
there's always single sign-on, which would solve this whole database problem.
Yeah.
It would, but I
Well,
brought it up in a couple of meetings, and Kevin does not like it.
Yeah, you gotta have, this is a vision.
Diverts the discussion to something else right away.
But you know what? Keep at it, because
It's a
that's
visionary thing.
the answer. And
It's the answer.
there is so much available in this town, just from this little job that I have here. I've signed up for the Lapham newsletter and the Parks
You
and
know
Rec.
what? Maybe that's something we'll take on next year. It'd be nc.login. You can buy these domains, login. We should go buy NC. What I shouldn't say is probably
It
recorded.
could be, I think it's also a marketing issue. We should
Yeah.
just call it like something like you get keys to the town,
Yeah.
There you go.
like
There you go. There's
That's,
the
my-
marketing.
that's a good.
There you
idea.
go.
Marketing. That's why I'm doing the tech job.
it's
Yeah.
it is the marketing. You have to sell it like you move in,
I
do
agree.
this. You get keys to the town, keys to
there you
the
go.
facilities, keys to the park, wherever you go, you got your set of keys.
So I didn't mean to delay us because dinner's ready, but
Yeah.
but yes, I still think Bob's right. Henry's right. Single sign-on is the solution to this. Log in.
Yeah.
nc.login or something, or nckeys or something, nc.key. Find something like that, market it, make it simple. And then we do it on the cheap, super cheap. We do it with one or two sites. We show what it can do and go from there.
We could probably then add to this, the sign up for the transfer station, all this stuff.
It all goes.
Easy.
And by the way, this is like,
You
this is
get
very.
all the keys you want. You
Yeah.
get keys to the transportation station.
Yeah.
You get keys,
Right,
Mhm.
but the problem is Chris knows is that, do they have SAML technology? But it's topic for topic for 2021.
Exactly.
So I say, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and everybody.
Yeah.
Next time I call you, I'll be from Florida.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get there myself.
oh my God. I try to leave the house every once in a while.
Yeah.
Just go outside, step out of the door. That would
So
be.
by the way, Anne Marie, you'll like this. That's why my wife, she
well,
said, if I gotta be locked down, I wanna be locked down where I can be outside.
Yeah.
I went to the transfer station today. It was a thrill. That was a highlight of my day.
You never thought you'd say that, I'm sure, right?
You mean this call, you won't wait for this call all day?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Grocery store, like so exciting.
Yeah.
All right.
So, all right. So on that note, so a motion to adjourn?
I motion that we adjourn.
All right.
Aye.
Second? All right. All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So happy holidays, everyone. Really appreciate
Happy
it.
holidays.
We've had a
Happy
great
holidays.
year, and yeah, and thanks. And happy New Year, and we'll see you all in January.
Happy and
All right.
healthy New Year.
Yes,
well. Yeah,
definitely.
stay safe.
Everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for
Thank
all
you.
your help.
Thank you.
Yeah, same
Thank you.
here.
Bye.
Bye.